This activity is called the maze, and in the maze, we're going to have our sprite move with the keys, the up, down, left, right keys, and we're going to have it navigate through a maze where it can't cross a certain border because it's a certain color. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, and so to start with, we're going to need to find a sprite. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose a sprite. Animals, let's see, what do we have here that's kind of fun? Let's go with pufferfish. Okay. So we've got a pufferfish here. He's kind of big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down in this size box here and I'm going to make him about 30%. Okay, so now we got a little tiny pufferfish. And I'm going to put him up in the upper corner here. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your pufferfish starts in the same spot each time, because that way your pufferfish can restart the game that we're making. Now, I need to make a maze for our little pufferfish to go through. So I'm going to come to backdrops and I'm going to paint a backdrop. And I've got a few backdrops here. Let's delete some of these and get them out of the way. So I've got a backdrop and I want the whole background of it. I'm going to want it to be maybe, let's see if we can look at colors here. Brightness. Let's see. We can just play around with the color bars until we figure out what we want. And I want a really bright, let's go with a really bright pink, just because. Why not? Okay. So I'm going to make my backdrop that way, and I'm going to do that by putting in a big, huge square. Come on. There we go. Big, huge square. I don't want the outline to be very big on it. I'm going to make it 0. And I'm going to then make the square fill the entire screen here. Okay, so now I can see that my square is filling the entire screen. Now, what I want to do is I want to add a different color, and I want it to make borders of a maze, just like you have a maze with pencil and paper. I want a thick line though, so I'm going to make my line about 20 pixels thick. I'm going to pick my line. And then I'm also going to pick my color for my line. And I think I want it to be black, which this appears, let's see, to be black. Okay. And now I'm going to make myself a maze. And so I'm going to start and I'm going to draw my maze. Now, if you hold the shift key down, it will actually make your lines go straight or vertical or horizontal. Now, this is not too fancy of a maze, but yours is going to be a lot more difficult. I'm just going to show you the concepts, but I think you should make a much more difficult maze than me just making a simple path. Now, part of the assignment is also to say where to start and where to end. So I'm going to put some text up here. I don't want it the same color as the fill color. Maybe I want it blue, maybe I want it black. Let's go with black again. Okay. And I'm going to put my text right here and I'm going to say start. And then I'll put text down here so that I know where to finish. Okay. So like in any maze, you know where you're entering and where you're exiting. Okay. And I can move these around here. Should be able to grab it, move it where I want, twist it around, things like that. Okay. All right. So I have my start and I have my end. That gives you some of the points in the assignment. Make sure you look at the assignment instructions so that you know all of the aspects that you need to put in. But I will be showing those all of you. I will be showing you all of those today. Now, let's put our little guy at the start of our maze. Now, we're going to code him to always start there. So if you notice, once we clicked on our pufferfish, we came into his tabs where we see him up in the corner up here, and we see all of the things we can do for him. Now, if we click on the stage, we're going to see the stage tab, and we're going to see all of the coding we can do to the stage. Now, you can't code as much stuff into the stage as you can to each sprite. But in the stage is where you can put things like sound that repeats over and over again and stuff like that. Okay, let's go back to our sprite. Now, when we start, so on our event, when the green flag is clicked, we want this guy to always go to this position. So we're going to go motion and we're going to say go to XY. This is just like a grid in math. It has a 0, 0 at the center. We have our positive X, positive Y. And then we have our negative y, negative x, just like a regular grid. Now, up in this corner here, I can see where he is at. He is at negative 186 and 106. And when I pulled out my XY, it actually showed him exactly where. Now, I could also change that. Say I want him to be on positive 186 when I click the start thing, the little green flag. And if I do that and click go, he's going to move over to positive 186. And he's always going to start there. But let's put him back where we wanted him, 186. Okay, let's click our green flag. So he's ready to start. But now we have to have the player be able to move our sprite. And we're going to have him moving with the keys. So we're going to pull out another when green flag clicked. And now we're going to pull out some motion. And we're going to pull out motion in doing this. We're going to have some control. And we're going to say if, then. So if something happens, then do something. And these operators in here, and we have other things like sensing, these will help us with the input. Okay, so we're going to use this one with keys. If key is pressed, then. We're actually going to use our arrow key. So if up arrow is pressed, then we want this guy to do something. What do we want him to do? We want him to move up. So we're going to have him, let's see, what do we want? We want him to go change in the Y direction because we're going up and down is Y. And we're going to want him to go a little more slowly. So we're going to change Y by 2. So according to our code, if we press the up arrow, he'll change Y by 2. However, he's not doing it. And there's a reason why. Is because we need to have the program check over and over and over again for when that arrow is pressed. Right now, it's only checking once, exactly when this green flag is clicked. I can't do it that fast. Nobody has reflexes that fast to make sure you press the arrow at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into our control and we're going to put a forever loop around this. Okay. So all the time, the computer's going to be checking to see if the up arrow is pressed. And then it's going to change Y by 2. Let's check this. Looky there. Now that changes Y by 2 every time we press it. Let's get him to go back to start. Okay. Now we're going to do the other arrows the same way. Now, since that's the up arrow, if we bring out another one, and then we say if key down arrow is pressed, we're going to need to change our Y by -2. So let's come back up here, and we're going to say change Y by -2, because -2 goes in the lower direction. Great. Now we can test that part of our code. Okay, up, down. Perfect. You are going to now need to do the rest of it, which means you're going to do the left arrow, which is going to need to change the X, and the right arrow, which is going to need to change the X in a different way. You're going to have a negative and a positive with your X, just like you did with your Y. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. I can actually make him go through the wall. We want this black wall to stop him. Okay. And we're going to do that by having another if loop in there. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to sense forever. Okay. Let's see. Actually, I don't need the forever. I apologize. We need the if then. We're going to put it right under here. So I'm going to say sensing if touching color, then I'm going to actually change Y by -2 so it pushes him back down. So let's do that. Change Y by -2. Okay. Now, I don't have the right color in there. I'm going to click on this color. And instead of having to play with the bars to make sure I get the exact color, I'm going to use this eyedropper. And I'm going to put it right on the color I'm trying to use. There we go. And now it'll say, if touching this color, then it's going to make our sprite go back down by 2. Let's test it out. Go up. Oh, I can't go anywhere. I'm bouncing constantly against this wall. You can't see it because it's tiny and really fast, but it can't go past that color. Let's do this the same for the next one. We can duplicate this. Okay, except when I go down, I'm going to want to make the Y here positive 2. I'm going to want it to shove it back up once it hits that bottom bar. So let's try that. Okay, can't go up, can't go down. I'm stuck. I have to stay in the maze. Now, you'll still need to do these same 2 things for your X and your X direction for your left and your white arrows. And I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay. Now, the other 2 things that the assignment asks for is that he needs to change his costume. And you did this in the aquarium, so I'm going to just let you do that on your own. Go back to the aquarium. It looks like he's got different costumes. He even makes bubbles and winks. So you can have it cycle through the costumes. You can have it do whatever. I'm going to just have it cycle through the costumes. So when clicked, forever, I'm going to go to looks. I'm going to go to the next costume. And then I'm going to have the time, which is under the control, and wait 1 second. So now he's just going to cycle through his costumes. And if I click that there, you see he's going through his different costumes. Great, got that done. Okay, last but not least, one of the things that we want to do is we want to know how fast we can get through that maze, because we're going to make this a game and then we can time ourselves. And so we're going to go into sensing here and we're going to find the timer. And I'm just going to click the button there for timer, and it puts a timer right up in my corner. I'm going to move it over though because I don't want it to cover my start. And so I just clicked the timer in sensing and it turned it on immediately. Now, however, it's not stopping it at whatsoever. So I'm actually going to have it reset timer when green flag is clicked. That way we have it going here. When clicked, I'm going to have it reset timer. Okay, that way if I click the green tab, it goes back to 0. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can have it reset timer when it hits the end, but right now it doesn't really matter. We're just going to have it start the timer, run through, and then you can see how many seconds it is when you finish your game. Then it resets it whenever you start a new game. Okay, those are all the things you need in your maze. You will need to continue working on the movement for your sprite. Oh, we forgot one item, didn't we? We forgot the sound. Now I'm going to put the sound on the stage because that way it's not connected to any particular sprite, and it'll happen no matter what sprite I have. I can change sprites, do everything else, and my sound still goes. So I'm going to go back here to events, and I'm going to say when green flag clicked, and I want my sound over and over again. So I'm going to repeat forever, and I'm going to pick a sound. I don't want to play pop because I really actually don't like the pop one. So we're going to need to select our own sound here. Oh, let's go to sounds. And let's see, what sound do we want? Where is our sound thing to find a new sound? Okay, let's delete this. Add sound. Oh, it's right here. It's unfortunately hidden under the controls that I have for my recording here. Let's see. I don't think we want to do that one. Let's go with animals again because, you know, we are under the water with our fish. I doubt our fish is going to squeak, though. We could go wacky. We could do a lot of different ones. We could have him go boink. That's kind of weird. But whatever sound you pick, you put it in there in your code. I'm going to repeat sound bonk until done. Okay, that will annoy me, but you get the picture, and it plays the sound over and over again. So once you finish your maze, make sure you share it and put it into the Classroom Studio, and then you can move on to the level jumper. All right, give it a shot.